We really do have to just look ahead. We can't on this podcast, but boy, eyes focused ahead here. This is LAFC Plus, episode 32. Welcome. I'm Dave Denholm. He is Mario Ruiz. Mario, how you doing, buddy?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. I wasn't feeling too good after that loss in Dallas. I do wish that could have went another way. But anyway, I do remember, though, that I did have this little gift bag that I got on Wednesday night at the stadium from Guayaki Yerba Mate.
Oh,
You know, I'm a big fan of yerba mate.
Of course.
So LAFC, they partnered up with Guayaki, which is really, really cool. And I got a gift bag with like socks and stuff. I got like a gourd right here, a fresh new gourd here with a nice bombilla. So I'm sipping on the mate today, and it made me feel a little bit better. So I got that going for me. My two worlds are combining here, mate and LAFC. So that's a good thing.
I will say he's too modest to say it himself. Mario Ruiz, always ahead of the curve, always ahead of the trends. You've been sipping on mate for a long time, and I know it's fashionable now, and that's cool. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
I saw that stuff. I thought
my old one here. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
My old gourd.
I thought you might grab that bag when we were there, but yeah. So good on you for getting one. So
some goodies in there too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, LAFC, that was the Austin game, the 1-1 draw that we haven't had a show since then. But they did go on to back to Texas, this time to play FC Dallas, who once again looked like Bayern Munich when they play LAFC, like a lot of teams do. They get up for playing LAFC. We get their best performance of the season sometimes, it seems.
That's so true.
True. This seemed like one of them. LAFC did rotate 7 players that didn't play against in terms of starters that were put into the starting lineup. So a lot of changes. Thomas Hassel in goal. Hugo Lloris did not make the trip, but LAFC lose 3-1, and it counts. That's the problem. It doesn't matter if you're rotating, you're getting ready for a bigger match coming up, and we'll talk about that. You still lost. And it's, 1 win in 8 in MLS play, Mario. So when LAFC were kind of in control of their own destiny for the Western Conference, not necessarily the Supporter Shield, of course, but that seems like a long time ago, frankly. And we're now 4th and have no control over what happens in the West in a sense. I mean, other teams can lose and we could still win the West, don't get me wrong, but the Galaxy are now in complete control, realistically. And if they win out, nobody can touch them. And hopefully that's what LAFC does. Still have several handful of matches left in the West. But you can't we'll talk a little bit more about it. But Mario, we do have bigger fish to fry, right? Wednesday night's game, depending on when you're listening to this, is a trophy, and we want to break that down. It's like I don't know where to go because we have to talk about the loss first. Yes, really. So let's do that.
Let's do a little bit of that. Jesus Ferreira, I'm going to start off with him because he had one of his best matches of the entire season for him. Even though he didn't score, but he had an assist and he had a big part of almost every single goal that FC Dallas had. And then Peter Musa is just a baller. He's a baller. He's a goal scorer, 14 goals on the season for Musa. So he's a good player. And this is a team that's been injured for the beginning part of the season. So they got off to a little bit of a rough start. And then you get Alan Velasco back into the mix from his injury. Now you have a chance to gain some momentum and to get back into that playoff picture because that team is loaded with talent. As you saw over the weekend, that was no fluke. That's a good team when all 3 of those guys are healthy.
Well, under Peter Luxine, their interim manager who took over in early June, they're playing in terms of points per match at a playoff level. Like they're not great under him, but they've been very good, well above 5, I think a couple of games above 500. And even with some of those injuries you were talking about. So since Luxine has took over, this is a much better team. Make no mistake.
Yeah.
But they're still on the outside looking in. And normally you'd go into that type of match, even on the road, and where they're a better team too. They're better on the road, at home this year, FC Dallas, than they are on the road. But even going into FC Dallas, you'd think, okay, normally we'll have a good shot. We can, any team going in there, we have a chance to win this. LAFC had one eye on Wednesday. It doesn't make it good, bad, or ugly, but that's just the nature of it, right? You're playing for a trophy on Wednesday. That's the bottom line. But too many individual errors, too many breakdowns, I think Steve Cherundolo basically said just that in his post-game press conference, right? I mean, he didn't sugarcoat it. If you want to go listen to that, I'm not quoting, but it's just the way it was. They just couldn't. You can't win a game like that against a decent team, even playing that poorly. And you can blame stuff. You can talk about rotation, whatever. Look, there's injuries in the back line. Jesus Murillo is a very good player. We're missing him, no doubt.
Yeah.
And we're feeling it, Mario. We're not just missing him on paper. We're feeling it. He's a great player. And they haven't looked as sharp defensively lately. So, and that was really where we were built. I know the offense is great, and obviously we have great talent up front, but we were playing like when we were unbeatable just seemingly days ago, but it was months ago. Remember this long stretch. These seasons are so long, right? It just goes to show you. Because there was a time we were unbeatable for literally months on end, it seemed. It was the defense was incredible during that time.
Yeah.
And they're just not quite playing to that level right now. I mean, that's just...
And when you have your eyes on a final and then the West just keeps getting more wild, you know, they call it the Wild Wild West for a reason. And in MLS, the West is always going wild for some reason. So we're all bunched up in the West, Dave. And with you having your eyes set on the U.S. Open Cup final, it's a bit of a distraction when you're trying to, you know, compete with everybody else in the West. That, you know, it's just 5 points that separate second place all the way down to 7th place. That's a whole bunch of teams in between there that's only separated just by 5 points. Yeah. So that is scary and makes for a very, very intense race, very entertaining race to the playoffs.
Well, it's crazy that you could go from the 2 seed in a matter of a few games down to going to the 2 seed and being at a road, you know, like a 7 seed, being on the road essentially in that best of 3 first round, and and not having really much of a sniff of a home after that, a home playoff game. So like you could go from the 2 seed in a matter of a couple of weekends down to the 7th. That's insane.
And you're jockeying for that playoff position.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
There's a couple teams in there that really, really have a huge home field advantage. And we'll talk about that later as we get into the rest of MLS. But there's a few teams in there that have a significant home field advantage that are within, you know, the 1st and 7th places of the West.
Yeah, and Mario's right. We're 4th in the West, but we could still fall. We could continue to fall. Haven't reached 50 points yet. I thought we'd have been there by now, of course. But that's why you want to win games whenever you can. You know, we talk about this a lot. Yes, it's important to finish strong, but the games in April count just as much in May as in June, and so on and so forth. So yes, these are important games to try to finish strong and you're not slipping. But we racked up a boatload of wins early. And, you know, at least that's putting us in a spot where we can withstand a schedule that's been brutal. Again, no excuse. Dallas deserved to win. They were the better team. We did not play well. Bottom line, you made a lot of forced errors. Dallas pushed up and really did well defensively in their offensive half and forced those errors. And they also turned over, you know, half chances into real chances with some amazing play from Jesus Ferreira, as Mario said. So credit to them. But if you're looking at it from a black and gold perspective, it's just a matter of cleaning up some things, getting back to health, you know, easier said than done. We don't know where that's going to end up. We still have Kike Oliveira and Jesus Murillo, you know, struggling, trying to get back to full health. They're not going to rush them because that's just unnecessary. But getting back to full health, and then really start to click. And we haven't seen that with Olivier yet. We're seeing little bits of it. I've been encouraged, but we're not seeing it in full force yet either. Hopefully that happens, right? Hopefully it happens before the playoffs, but whenever it happens, let's just get it done. But Mario, that's a lot to overcome when you have games bunched up Wednesday, Saturday, when, you know, like our schedule's been ridiculous.
And you haven't even mentioned Carlos Vela. I mean, over the weekend, I had so many people just ask me about Carlos Vela. And I was, you know, my response is always give him time. You know, we can't just put that on him. He doesn't deserve that. You know, he deserves some time to get his fitness back. And we can't just expect him to just jump in right away and start contributing because he's been off for a while. So to me, I mean, Dave, when I seen him at the training facility, he looks slender in the face. He's working hard. He's in there early. and he's out of there very, very late, and he's putting in the work, and he wants to come back, and he wants to contribute as soon as possible, but has to be when the time is right.
Yeah,
you also,
exactly.
You want to give him that time in the respect of, treating his body right and getting ready to be able to contribute at a high level. This is a professional sport, and this is a guy with a lot of talent, but your body has to be ready to endure all that as well.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of time for Carlos.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's fine. Look, class is permanent. We always say that. We know he's got the class. He drips with it. I mean, he just, he is the best performer MLS has ever seen in any individual season. Now, again, Lionel Messi plays here. Don't panic. Don't freak out when I say certain things. You have to couch it because no, Vela's not the best player who ever played in MLS. Of course, Lionel Messi is the best player that's ever played. So, and there's other guys who are right up there, but Carlos Vela is the best performer in MLS history and Carlos Vela is one of the most really classy, skilled players I've ever seen. And we've all of us have ever seen. And that doesn't go away. Now, as Mario said, you can't force it because you don't want to see him get injured or come up with some nagging little injury that happens because you're rushing him. And he's not going to rush. They're not going to rush him. And quite frankly, in a weird way, Mario, I got to say this the right way. LAFC is in a good spot. They don't need Carlos Vela, right? I mean, they've done very well even without Carlos this season. Is it a good thing that he's absolutely like he can't, and not a moment too soon? Clearly, we need a spark that he can provide. So it's not like we don't want him or need him to come in and do well, maybe, but this team has performed very well. It's not about like getting Carlos is going to solve everything the first game he shows up, right? These are the things that are going on right now really aren't, just going to be solved by one, Carlos Vela just showing up magically. Give him some time. Maybe, let him settle in. Maybe when he's ready, which he will be, and hopefully it's deep into the play. Like we could see something magical that really wins you that one game in the playoffs too. Right. Yep. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for. I'm not expecting Carlos to get 8 goals and 5 assists in 4. Come on. That's just, he's not ready to play at that level yet in terms of just physically ready to go. So don't be stupid about it. But he's the guy who'll come in and just, he can tear you apart in 30 minutes. Or if he's up to speed late in the play, he's a guy who can win you a match single-handedly. He can do it. There's no doubt. We've seen it time and time again. But it's all just, Mario had said it perfectly. Like, just give him some time, like he's not going to solve it this weekend or whatever, like that's just not going to happen. So,
and you're talking about magical moments and wins and big wins. And I think that LAFC, as a matter of fact, I know LAFC is well overdue for a momentum type, momentum changing win. It's been too long without a win for this squad with this star level and this talent level. It can't really go much longer than what it has gone already. And I think we're looking at a big chance here this week on Wednesday to get that rhythm as we get closer to closing out these final 5 games of the regular season. And hopefully on Wednesday, a game change, a historic moment would be to raise your first U.S. Open Cup trophy. And I think that could get the team going and get it going into that postseason.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. But, MLS regular season doesn't matter going into this Wednesday game. It doesn't matter how much you've struggled in MLS or how good you are in MLS because Sporting Kansas City is terrible. But they could win the trophy in our place. They play their best
about this tournament. They've won it a few times already, as you already know.
They play their best game of the year. We don't play well. They could win on our home turf and hoist that trophy, and their whole season's turned around. They're an awful team in MLS this year. They've just struggled. They got good players. They got some talent. They can be dangerous, and clearly they deserve to be in this final of this tournament. They've won this tournament before with a lot of guys, by the way, who are still there. So they could turn the whole thing around. But also, it doesn't matter how good you've been in MLS either. I mean, we got to go out and do it. And as Mario said, it's been too long. We all know that. Here's what I have to say about that, though. A lot of people point to, well, you're coming in second. You're not winning the trophies, right? You're losing finals. Yeah. There's a few things and ways to approach it. Yes, we have to win on Wednesday. no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
We should. It's our tournament to win, and that means you got to go out and do it. And these players will be ready to do that, I believe. But you have to. There's no excuse. No, it doesn't matter how tired you are. Doesn't matter what the schedules look like. We rotated for a reason. You lost a game in Dallas for a reason, frankly.
Yeah.
That's this. That's winning it. But also, Mar, if you look at it, two things can be true. You have to win. All the pressure's on you. You're the big favorite. But when you're losing these finals, that means you had to get there. Tom Brady lost 3 Super Bowls, right? Michael Jordan is known as the greatest, and like everybody, goes crazy over him because he won 6 titles and didn't lose in the final. But he didn't play 6 years in the NBA. How many times did he get dumped out before the final? Way more than he won, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he got to finals and he won them, but you still got to get there to win them.
Yeah.
And that means you're putting in the effort. You're doing very well to get to these finals. You are a good team. You're a great team, frankly. But that doesn't make you feel any better when you're losing the final. I get it. So it's like, it's kind of that balancing it. I want to get to every final. Bottom line, that's my first goal. But then I'll win them. Of course. You got to finish them off. You're not going to win everyone. Right? You're not going to beat Columbus just because we should, or, you're not going to go into their place with great odds to win. Bottom line. So it's not about everything falls on one game or the seasons, like this. We're still in the entertainment business. It's very entertaining to get to finals. I'm sorry, it is. I mean, that's no excuse. Again, I'm not making, you got to win, but I love being entertained by getting to all these finals. That's a good place to start.
Yeah, and I know Sporting KC is very, very excited to be in this final, especially with the bad season that they're going through right now.
Yeah.
But this LAFC team is just coming full force on Wednesday night at BMO Stadium on their home field. I'm sure it's not even in their mind that they're going to lose this match. They have, like you said, they have sacrificed games over the weekend, if you want to call it that, rotating so heavily just to get this trophy, because LAFC does want trophies. LAFC wants to win every single tournament, and that's kind of the curse of going after all the trophies, is the fact that you're going to be in so many games and the schedule is going to be so congested. But when you have a team like LAFC that has all this level of talent, all these stars, they're not ready to leave this game empty-handed in front of their home crowd. True. They are already, motivated, ready to go for this final. There's nothing left to do it, Dave, but to do it. Let's go black and gold. Let's make history, raise that trophy.
I agree. And this is just a question I'll ask you, because every fan has their own opinion. Where does the U.S. Open Cup rank for you, Mario? Because I have an answer that I think people think is a cop-out, but it's not. I want every trophy. I think they're all equally important. I really do. And if you're in the competition, it's not a cliche. You got to go. You got to win it. And you got to go.
LAFC has already put so much into this tournament. We saw at the very, very beginning of the tournament when it started earlier this year. So, whoa, this lineup, you got Bawanga in there. You got Bogusz in there. You got all, the starters and the heavy hitters in there. Okay, LAFC is all in. And now we're here to the final. You best believe I care about this tournament and this trophy just like LAFC does. Fill up that trophy cabinet. That's what it's all about. It's not about just winning the World Series or winning the NBA Finals. This is about winning multiple trophies in 1 year to show how dominant you are of a team, not only in your league, but in your region or in the world, even that sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is cool that you can do that in world football too, right? You got Supporter Shield, you got U.S. Open Cup, you got the MLS Cup, you got Campeones Cup if you win the title. You got all these. I mean, in fact, Columbus will be playing on the same night as we are. Earlier than the U.S. Open Cup final will be Campeones Cup with Columbus Crew trying to win another trophy.
Oh yeah, I'll be locked into that one too. What a day on Wednesday, right? Campeones Cup, U.S. Open Cup, all day.
Tell you
I
what,
love that.
You walk by those Supporter Shields and that MLS Cup trophy. It looks great. They look great, and I want more of them in the trophy cabinet. We are,
yes, sir.
We said it when we walked by them at Columbus. They have more than a couple. It was annoying, but they do look good. That's what you want. You want to fill up that trophy cabinet, no doubt. And it's a great opportunity. I got to tell you, this might be coming out of left field. It would seem lately, but I could see a 6-1. I could see just an absolute thrashing in this match. I really can.
And that brings a smile to my face.
I know. I'm not just being a homer. I'm honest about stuff, man. I can see it. I think.
But you know who else cares about this tournament though? Is Sporting KC as well. They've won this thing 4 times, Dave. They got the hardware 4 times. Matter of fact, our guy Elias Sanchez was on one of those teams whenever they won it as well. So he knows how much Sporting KC cares about this tournament.
And if their fans are being honest, because of the timing of it, it finishes late, right around here every year, right? Mm-hmm. Playoffs are only a few weeks away. They're already eliminated. They can't make the playoffs. They've had a dreadful year. They know it. Everybody knows it. This saves a season. As bad as that sounds, because yes, you want to win MLS Cup and you want to get to the playoffs. You should, if you're a decent team. But you hoist this trophy on our state, in our stadium, on our turf, on our field, saves their season, no doubt. And and that is a lot, no question. That's a lot on the line, not just for us, but for them too. You're right. And this is a team that knows how to get it done. So as bad as they are, they're not good.
About the oldest soccer tournament in America, has a lot to say. For this tournament to stick around and be around for that many years, this is the 109th edition of the U.S. Open Cup. That's a lot of years right there.
And we don't know what the future holds with this thing. I mean, we all know the issues that, in terms of MLS and all that, the participation with like only 8 teams this year or whatever. And thankfully LAFC was one of them. Sporting Kansas City probably feels the same, I'm sure, now getting into the final. But you don't know. I want to get that trophy. I want to have won this tournament, no matter what happens in the future. And I'm a guy who loves the U.S. Open Cup. I hope it's around for 500 more years. And hopefully LAFC will win their fair share and then some of these U.S. Open Cups. We haven't quite got there. In fact, we haven't done, poorly in the U.S. Open Cup, but we haven't done great either. Like we've had a few nice wins along the way, but some tough losses in some good games.
Let's win it while we're here, right?
Yeah, let's hope this one's a great game that we romp over Sporting Kansas City. We match up well with Sporting Kansas City if you're talking about on the pitch. We match up well with just about everybody. I'm not saying that it means we're going to win. You still got to go out and play well. But, Mario, we're going to be, rotated, as we said. So we're going to be ready, going to be rested. I think we're just too much for this Kansas City side. It's a decent team. It's got some talent. But maybe they're underperforming in the sense that maybe they shouldn't be this bad in MLS, really, because they do have some talent. So, they can be dangerous at times, but just a team that's just dreadful on the road and just hasn't won enough at home, even though they have a great crowd and a great fan support. It's a game we have to win. I mean, it really is. Yeah,
we know finals are a whole nother level. Finals are very different than any other match. I mean, you could pretty much throw out past games, because these finals are just so intense and you got to be focused. Finals, the thing about finals, you have to be focused the entire 90 minutes.
Oh, it's so true.
And you got to finish strong.
Oh, even it feels that way in the playoffs too, because it's after the first round, it's the knockout. Or if you're in a knockout game, right? So even in the first round, whatever the knockout game is, but all the way to the final, I don't enjoy calling those games. I don't. I enjoyed winning the MLS Cup, but the game itself made me miserable trying to call it, because it's like it's not like a July match in the middle of the season. It's so tense and so on the edge. Like every kick, as Mario said, every glance, every shot that oh no, please don't hit somebody and ricochet in, against our defense. Like every corner kick is miserable. Oh, just terrible. Because even if it's your corner kick, are they going to get some big breakaway? Are they going to get on the counter? It's like, oh my gosh. So please, nobody trip. Nobody sprain an ankle. Nobody fall down in the wrong time. It's like, 90 plus minutes of hell. It really
got to be sharp, got to be focused, and you got to ride that momentum of your hometown crowd.
It's true. And look, the good part about it is when you're really good, like LAFC has been, you will have an occasional, very rare, but you'll have that playoff game that's a comfortable 2-0 or a 3-0 thrashing, but it just doesn't happen enough because it's the playoffs and these teams are good, right? So, Mario, you're 100% correct. Like, it's just nerve-wracking, bite your nails for the whole time. And that's going to be the way Wednesday is. It's not going to be fun. I'm sorry. I hope you enjoy it if you're a fan. If you're listening, you can hear it on the app coming up on Wednesday night, or if you happen to be going to the match, I hope you enjoy yourself. I'm going to be miserable.
Every goal is massive. Every goal is just huge eruption of the crowd on every single goal. And the thing is, when you're up 2-0, or let's say the LAFC's up 2-0, you're feeling pretty good. But as we know that lead is very dangerous. So it's almost like you got to go up big. You got to go up big before you start feeling comfortable in a final, right?
It's so true.
So I get what you say about saying that you don't enjoy it, even if you're winning. You got to be up big to really be enjoying it until that final whistle. And then you can say,
absolutely. There's some moments you can. I'll tell you what is enjoyable is when you win and then it's over.
Yes. When it's over, goodness. Exactly.
Nothing like that, of course. And we experienced that in 2022. Like it's the greatest moments of my sporting career or whatever. Like, no doubt. That was just beyond amazing. So there is a reward for all that misery if you go ahead and win. And that's what we're expecting on Wednesday night as well. We don't want to turn away from that game, but we do have to move on. It is Wednesday. We'll talk a little bit more about that just to remind you later in the show what that is. But Mario, I got to tell you, man, we haven't done it in a little while, but this is a fun little football fit check. It'll be quick.
Okay.
But I'm loving this one, Mario. I was watching that RSL match, Portland. What a game that was, right? Oh, my goodness. Back and forth. You thought RSL had done it again late in that match. Oh, they're so annoying. I hate both these teams with sports hate of 1,000 suns. But you thought RSL was going to beat them, and we're like, oh, no, that's a full 3 points. LAFC had already lost earlier in the evening. And then Portland pulls out one of the wonder goals in this, 94th, whatever minute it was. Jonathan Rodriguez, what a revelation. That team, Portland, just won't stop scoring. They get the 3-3 draw, which felt like a win for them. But I'm watching, and as they're, the coaches are trying to, Phil Neville's feeling great. Pablo Mastroeni finally probably sick to his stomach. But I'm watching him walk over, and I'm like, look at that jacket.
Boom.
Oh, my goodness. I
love it.
You don't have to love it out there. If you're on YouTube, you can see the picture, right? We grabbed this one off the website. We appreciate the RSL, RealSaltLake.com or whatever. They had the press conferences up if you want to watch it. So there's just a little screenshot of it. But if you don't see it, if you're listening to this podcast like you do elsewhere, go find this jacket. Describe it for us, Mario. It's magnificent.
It's got a little bit of a vintage look, right? Because it has the satin. Yep. It's got the satin, kind of like the old baseball jackets that used to be around in the 80s and 90s. I remember, like an old Dodgers blue, satin with the white, Dodgers logo across. This one is black here with the black satin, and then it has just on the front. I love that logo. That's a great logo. It just Real with the crown on top of the E. I like that. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that one. I'm sure they've used it. Yeah, I'm sure they've used it before, but I haven't seen it. And I love the little the neck, collar, if you will, has a little pop of color along the way.
It's clean.
It is clean.
It's not too loud like the one that he wore the other day, right? It was like a racing jacket. It was like a motorcycle racing jacket that he wore, and it was a Real Salt Lake piece too. So
it was
total opposite of this one.
That one was hot garbage compared to this, if I'm being honest. So this thing is just magnificent.
Yeah. So we're giving Pablo props on this one. We're also dissing him on the last week one. So don't think you're getting away just so easily, Pablo, on this one.
I'm not quite sure he's the one picking these jackets lately necessarily, but this one, I got to be honest with you. Again, I sports hate RSL. I would never wear it. I can't. And that's fine. But I wouldn't hate anybody who did. I'll tell you, this thing is utterly tremendous. What a jacket. Great football fit check. Love that look, Pablo. Good work by Pablo Mastroeni, who, has a good style to him anyway. So kudos to him for, he wears it well, but he does have good personal style anyway. Let's go around the rest of MLS on the pitch, Mario. What did we see over this weekend? Philadelphia Union. The little is expected of them because they're kind of squeaking into the playoffs potentially here. Certainly haven't wrapped up a spot, but wow, are they playing well lately? 4-0 over DC United. And Mario, they've got some scorers now. Ty Baribo, red hot.
Yeah.
It's almost like he can't miss. Daniel Gazdag just does it every year. He's at 17 goals, tied with Oh, by the way, Denis Bouanga, somebody we know and very well and
low
love
key,
here.
He just snuck in there with those 17 goals too.
Sheesh. He takes all the PKs, usually I shouldn't say, but he scores a lot of goals that people, just kind of grinding them out. Good player, just always seems to be in the right spot. It doesn't miss, and Baribo's not missing.
Oh, he's a good player.
I thought they were going to just basically have to pack in this season after selling Julian Carranza, transferring him out. It was time. It was a good move. 24-year-old Argentine, a very good player. And, boy, they struggled most of this year. But they're turning it on at the right time. This team should be scaring a few.
4-0 on any team in the MLS is a statement. 4-0. Yeah. To shut out Benteke as well is another statement as well. True. So, great job. Great win for Philadelphia.
Yeah, it just seems to be coming together for them, obviously, at the right time. Now, again, they're in the 9th spot. They could miss the playoffs still. I'm not sitting here telling you all is well. They're 3 games below 500. But they have a plus 10 goal difference. So a lot has gone weird for them, especially at home this year. They're 4-7-4 at home. 3 games under 500 at home. That is ridiculous. I mean, they're even on the road, 5-5-5. But at home, they've been miserable this year, which is so uncharacteristic. And yet, they've scored 57 goals and allowed 47. Like, plus 10 for a team that's struggling that bad. I'll give you an example. Toronto is ahead of them. Actually, they're on 36 points, both, I should say. But Toronto technically ahead of them with more wins, even though they played one more match. Toronto is 11-17-3 and has a minus 17 goal difference. And they're 1 point, one slot ahead of Philly with a plus 10 goal difference.
Wow. Now, after very similar to Portland and their situation, right? Portland's scoring all kinds of goals.
But Philly's not even giving up that many. Portland's scoring all kinds of goals. They're plus 10. But at least they're above 500, tougher West in terms of, But Philly with that record and yet plus 10, it's not like we're 2 games in the season. Like that goal difference means something at this point. So
the East is tricky because they're so top heavy in the East,
Yeah,
the West is bunched up all over the place, but the East is kind of so top heavy. So that's why you're seeing that with Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's true. But it's a team that I'm not thrilled to play them in the playoffs, no matter who gets them.
Oh, yeah, well-coached team, always, yeah.
Yeah. Now they got to get there. Again, they could fall on their face and make me look stupid here, but I'm not thrilled to be playing them if I'm anybody in the East. I'm serious. Just enough all over the pitch. They got guys coming off the bench that can do the business too. I mean, it's a deeper team. They've just had a weird, bad year, but that doesn't mean they'd have a bad 3 or 4 game stretch to really cause some problems potentially. So that's a team I wanted to highlight lately. Mario and I have been keeping an eye on them. Certainly.
That's a good call, yeah.
We talked about the RSL, that battle with Portland. Boy, I don't know, man. That's as crazy as it sounds. That might come back to just kick RSL in the teeth. You can't be dropping points in extra time, or stoppage time, whatever. At home, when you pull out something like that, you gotta buckle that down. I don't know. Both teams, Mario, were so wide open. Now, I understand it's 2-2, though, and they're all they're going for the victories, which is good. But, man, when you're RSL and you get the 3-2 lead late, lock it down. What are you doing?
What a game that was. That was the game of the weekend, honestly. I mean, they were going back and forth. Beautiful goals from both teams.
Yeah.
Evander with an amazing goal on the free kick. He's just balling out of control this year, David Evander. I mean, but still, they're in 8th place in the West, which is kind of hard to believe. But Evander, 33 goal contributions in just 25 matches. That guy is on MVP type level, honestly.
Yeah. But, Mario pointed out the East earlier. So before you get cocky or before you hate on Portland for being in 8th place in the West, yes, not a great season thus far record-wise. But their 44 points would put them tied for 4th in the East.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and actually they have, I believe, more wins than the Red Bulls. They technically would be 4th. With tiebreaker in the East. I mean, hosting in the round, the first round of the playoffs, you're guaranteed to host. So yeah, it's a lot about the West too, and
RSL, they officially punched their ticket into the playoffs with that draw. So they're in there. They're in 2nd place, Dave. with just 2 points ahead of LAFC. But LAFC do have that game in hand, of course, on them as well. Yeah, and we remember that game, that Blizzard game back at RSL, earlier in the year. So getting above them in the standings is huge for the playoffs, because that's one of those teams that I was talking about, where if they are at home in the playoffs, they have a huge advantage with the altitude and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That comes into play, especially in the playoffs.
So will Colorado, who's ahead of us now by a point, although we have the game in hand with Colorado, but they are ahead of us. And you don't want to go there. And you certainly want to go there anytime with that altitude, but you don't want to go there in November in the altitude too. You might be playing in another snow game potentially.
In a playoff game, yeah.
Yeah, you don't. I'm with you. I'm with you there. Now let's go to the bottom end of the table for this final little part of MLS. We won't spend too much time on it because it is San Jose Earthquakes and they're just dreadful and they've been eliminated long. Like they're just so bad. They're gonna win the wooden spoon in all likelihood. They're almost a lock for that. The worst record in MLS. And after the match, Jeremy Ebobisse had some interesting post-game comments. I love Ebobisse. I make no bones about that. I love him on and off the pitch. I think he's just top-notch, really solid, really good player. Played for the U.S., represented our country. Just a good, solid professional. But he had some interesting things to say. Not in any malicious way, it didn't seem. I watched the press conference. And
he handled it right.
Yeah, they were basically asking him, and the questions were perfectly fine. Does this help momentum in a sense of you guys put in an effort? Are you trying to build, things like that? I'm paraphrasing questions, like looking for next season. And Ebobisse, Mario kind of just came out, was like, I don't know if I'll be here. And I'm saying it even more kind of pointed than he did. You should go listen to the press conference if you want. But he was like, well, I don't know if I really can speak on that because I don't know if I'm going to be here. And he even said, I don't know what players, we don't know who's going to be back. And it was very kind of eye-opening in a sense because we know that. But it's refreshing to hear someone kind of, even though it's bad news in a sense, it's kind of nice to hear guys tell the truth on some level. Like you want to, let's say it wasn't cliche, and I love that.
Yeah.
Like, it's the hard reality, Mario, where San Jose is at right now.
Yeah, he handled it very well because all you could do was just go out there and play your hardest. Because, right, you can have some dignity. You're a professional. Go out there. And like he said, you don't know where you're going to be next season, especially when you have a season like this where things have just gone all bad. There might be some change, right? There could be some change if things go bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So go out there and maybe play for your job the next season. There's going to be people watching. You might want to go somewhere. Might be other teams looking for you. So go out there, play well. But as far as let's look at the positives in this match going forward. There's no positives going forward. That's what he was trying to say. Exactly. He was like, we're just going to go out there and play hard. But as far as you asking me if there's any positives for this season and building momentum going forward, there's none of that.
No.
That's what he was basically trying to get out. And he did it perfectly.
Yeah, this is not some, high school basketball team that's playing all freshmen, in their varsity team and they win their last game of the year. And it is, okay, we got something to look forward to because we're going to be sophomores together. And then we're going to be, no, this is professional sports. They're awful. Everybody knows it. They want this season over with. They're going to try their best. And frankly, they can play a little spoiler along the way. We have to play them on the final game of the season, as Mario has pointed out in weeks previous. That is decision day for us. I don't expect that to be easy. I really don't. Yeah. Because we embarrassed them the last time. They embarrassed us earlier this season. So it's back and forth at times with this San Jose. No matter how bad they are, they somehow will make it difficult for us, especially offensively. They'll bring it. So, that's a great point. But I love the candor. Just so honest and so real and so right. He's right. Don't hide behind it because he's just telling the truth. And he's not being a jerk about it. He's not even saying, I don't want to be. Of course not. It was so honest, though.
He's in a tough spot, and the reporters there are also in a tough spot because, they're trying to get a story and they're trying to put a spin on it to, they're trying to ask him nicer questions so that he feels comfortable. But it's how do you do that whenever the team is, struggling like that?
Yeah. And I just wanted to point out because I want to reiterate, everybody was perfectly fine. They all did a good job. I mean, he and the reporters, it was all good. I mean, that's what I love to hear. It was it's never fun because you're still losing. They lost the match and it's obviously kind of miserable, but like kudos to him. I mean, he's just a straight shooter. And I actually was watching the reason I really got into it was I believe it's called the Aftershock Quake. It's like a post game show. I don't know if it's just YouTube. Find them out. It's like some guys who cover the earthquakes. I believe one of them's Robert Jonas, is a very solid, solid guy, been around the game, a great reporter, good dude, like been around for a long time. Some other guys who were working on the show with him were very good. So it's like a post-game show. I think it's on YouTube. I apologize if I'm not getting that right, but it's called the Aftershock. It's like a good name for a post-game show for the earthquakes. So they do a good job, and it was fun to watch. And actually, they talked a little bit about this. That's kind of what spurred me on to kind of talking about Ebobisi's press conference. But it is time to turn our focus again on Wednesday. Hopefully you're catching this right when it comes out, or maybe the next day, Tuesday or whatever, or even before the match on Wednesday. This is a big one. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Final. Sporting Kansas City, LAFC. We've clawed, scraped, battled our way to get here, and we're hosting, and it's time to win. We're going to win this match, Mario. We're going to thrash Sporting Kansas City. I like the matchup. We're ready, and I think everything turns around, and I really think it's going to be just a blowout. I don't predict blowouts. You know me. I'm not one who thinks, that's very possible too often.
That's not like you at all, but you must be feeling really good. But I'm feeling good too, because there's no other option here. It's win or win. This is a final that you need to take care of business. You are at home, a chance to raise a trophy in front of your supporters. There's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than rewarding your supporters for all that support through the years, to raise a trophy at home and to show them here it is, and just to give them that love and get that love back from the fans. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I love matches like this. Teams you don't do it's another match. That stuff goes out the window. We know that's just not true. Nobody says that. It's like, this is a massive game. This is the most important match we've played this year. Bottom line. That's it.
Now
you got to win the
chances
to get
that you
here,
get to make history, right?
Yeah.
On Wednesday night, you get a chance to pull out that pen and write some LAFC history.
Yeah,
go out there and do it, handle business, and let's keep it going, and let's use that as momentum to go into the last 5 games of the season, go into that playoff race.
Yeah, and the Leagues Cup was tremendous. You get to a final there. It's on the road, so that's why this one's even, we're at home. You're in front of your home crowd. Get it done at home. LAFC will. You can hear it at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night for the pregame on the ESPN LA app only that night. ESPN LA's app, download it. It's tremendous. It works so well. Click the LAFC boom button. You're there. It's like it's no problem. So LAFC, Sporting Kansas City, Wednesday night from BMO Stadium, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Final. Pregame 7 o'clock on the ESPN LA app only. Kickoff right around 7:30, a little after. I can't wait, Mario. Good stuff, brother. It's been a great show.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We're moving on, and we're going to win that cup. We're taking it down. That cup is ours. I'm telling you. We will talk to you next week.